Hello and welcome to our first episode on English vocabulary. In this video with me, you're going to learn the definition and usage, importance of vocabulary, vocabulary facets, types of vocabulary, and memorization of words. Before we go on, please click on the red button to subscribe and the little bell to stay notified. The definition and usage. Vocabulary refers to a set of familiar words one understands in their language. While vocabulary stretches gradually and develops with age, and it's a very fundamental tool for communication. Acquiring vocabulary in a second language is one of the biggest challenges a lot of learners face today. According to Cambridge Advanced Learners Dictionary, vocabulary is commonly defined as all the words known and used by a particular person. Importance of vocabulary. Well, the question is, how important is it? What breathing is to our living is exactly what vocabulary is to using a language. An extensive vocabulary aids expression and communication. Vocabulary is the most underlying part of every language. A person may be judged by others based on his or her vocabulary. As Wilkins said, without grammar, very little can be conveyed. Without vocabulary, nothing can be conveyed. Vocabulary facets. There are some facets every learner needs to know as they're learning vocabulary. These are orthography, phonology, reference, semantics, register, collocation, and morphology. To begin with, orthography examines the written form or the spelling of the words, or the whole spelling system of a language is referred to as orthography. An example of orthography is spelling the word definitely as D-E-F-I-N-I-T-E-L-Y. Phonology, which covers the spoken forms of vocabulary, is defined as the study of sound patterns. For example, the word bat is pronounced in three smaller phonological units as ba, and ta. Reference. It goes with the relationships between nouns or pronouns and objects that are named by them. For example, the word John refers to the person John, or the word it refers to some previously specified object. Words in English can make either direct or indirect references. Semantics means the concept and meaning of words together, or it looks at the meanings of words and the whole language overall. An example of semantics can be a toy block, which could be called a block, a cube, or a toy. Or another example could be a child, which could be called a child, kid, boy, girl, son, or daughter. Register is defined as the way a speaker uses a language differently in different circumstances. Register is more concerned with formal use and informal use of words, or appropriacy of the use of them. For example, the sentence, "Would you mind passing me the salt?" is appropriate for formal situation, whereas "pass me the salt" would be used for a collocation. Collocations are also called lexical neighbors. Collocation simply means a natural combination of words together. Some examples are pay attention, fast food, making an effort. Also, collocations make it easier to avoid overused words like very or beautiful by using a pair of words that fit the context in a better way and that has a more accurate meaning. If something is beautiful, you can simply say, "I'm fascinated by it." So the phrase "fascinated by it" is a collocation. Or if something is very important, you could say it's vitally important, or it is utterly important. Morphology. It is the study of words and how they're formed. It analyzes the structures of words and parts of words, such as stems, root words, prefixes, and suffixes. Things like words, phrases, clauses, and sentences are known as semantic categories, which we'll be putting in plain words in another episode. Types of vocabulary. Well, vocabulary is divided into 6 agreed upon types, like reading vocabulary, listening vocabulary, speaking vocabulary, writing vocabulary, focal vocabulary, and final vocabulary. We will only cover the first 4 here. Reading vocabulary refers to a person's set of words recognized while reading a text. So this class of vocabulary is the most important because reading vocabulary is more extensive compared to other types of vocabulary. Learners basically face a lot of new words while reading a book compared with listening to someone. Listening vocabulary. This one comprises the words recognized by a person while listening to speech. Here there are different clues that are going to help with the meanings of the words, like the speaker's tone and gestures, the topic of discussion, the conversations, other social contexts. All of these would communicate the meaning of an unfamiliar word. So this type is more understandable compared to the previous one. Speaking vocabulary. It signifies the number of words one understands and practically uses while forming speech. Since a lot of people are learning words from other people, this can be a subcategory to listening vocabulary. Developing speaking vocabulary makes the speech more spontaneous and natural. Some words, however, might be misused slightly and unintentionally, but the facial expressions and tone of voice can compensate this issue. Write-in vocabulary. This relates to registers in which words are used. For instance, when you're writing a book, you're trying your best to use a formal register. And that changes to some degree to informal if it's an email to a friend. Write-in vocabulary actually varies from person to person, and it depends on the topic being written as well. Well, memorization of words. Memorization on the outside can be seen as tedious or boring, but in fact, it can get very interesting if you know how to do it. This is what everybody needs to go through. A lot of us are looking for different methods in order to make this happen. So let's take a look. One method can be a large number of repetition of words you're learning, or spaced repetitions with flashcards. Another can be computer-assisted language learning, or relying on English media would be a helpful method as well. Reading books or ebooks or subscribing to different websites for reaching out their new contents upgrades vocabulary to another level. One very strong method for learning words would be learning them with their phrases and examples. Another good method would be using monolingual dictionaries. What I'm trying to say is to look up any word you need in English in an English-to-English dictionary. You can also change the language of your device into English for better help. You could use the apps to assess yourself to improve your vocabulary. Making yourself busy with English and speaking English with friends or chatting with them is also a very quick and easy way to surpass your level of vocabulary. In our next video, we'll cover the origin and divisions of the English language. Thank you very much.